How's it going, everybody? You know it's that time of the week. Before Matt and I do another podcast episode, you know I got to come in with a hot take, and I got a treat for y'all here today. This one comes from the courtesy of just a simple little sports debate I've had on Facebook, and I want to know what you all think. It's come to my attention that a lot of you all tell me that Lamar Jackson does not have as good of a supporting cast as Patrick Mahomes. Although both quarterbacks, yes, are very good, a lot of you all seem to believe that Mahomes has accomplished what he has in large part due to having a much superior supporting cast, and hence believe that Lamar is actually more valuable to the Ravens than Mahomes is to the Chiefs. Now, I'm going to take a dive in today, and I'm going to look at each player's supporting cast during their tenure as a starter, and we're going to look in see how much better, if at all, Mahomes' supporting cast has been. So don't go anywhere, because we're about to dive right in. So the first position I'm going to talk about is running backs. And I'm going to have to say that favors Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And here's why. I mean, really, has Mahomes had that anything special at the running back position? I look at Lamar, and of course you have Mark Ingram. I've been doing that all day. I don't know why. Mark Ingram, you have J.K. Dobbins, you have Gus Edwards. And I'll take any of those three guys above, the likes of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and, or DJ Williams or whoever may have you. And a lot of you all might disagree with me and think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is actually better than Mark Andrews. I'm going to have to disagree with that. Why do I keep doing that? Mark Ingram. Sorry, I apologize. Mark Ingram. Sorry, Mark, I'm going to have to disagree with that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is better than Mark Ingram. I'm getting ahead of myself because we will be talking about Mark Andrews, just not right now. But Mark Ingram has 3 1,000-yard seasons total, whereas Clyde Edwards-Helaire has 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns for his entire career. Mark Ingram, in his 2019 campaign with the Ravens, we all remember that was Lamar's MVP season, had 1,000 yards on the ground along with 10 touchdowns. He arguably had almost as good of a season as Clyde Edwards-Helaire has had in his career. So running backs, I have to give the edge to Lamar on that one and the Ravens. So moving on to the next one. Next up, we have wide receivers. And I don't even have to spend a lot of time on that because I think we all can agree that Patrick Mahomes has had the better wide receivers. I mean, Lamar has not had a receiver with the caliber as a Tyreek Hill. And even though I think I've been on the show and I've made comments that, I think Lamar's receivers are maybe better than they're given credit for, Tyreek Hill is an absolute game changer. So I don't think we need to spend a lot of time there, and we're going to give the receiver edge to Mahomes. Next up, we have the tight ends, and this one might be the first controversial one, or maybe not, I don't know, wherever your head's at. A lot of people will tell me, or a lot of people believe that Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the league right now. And I can understand why. He puts up, he's got how many straight 1,000-yard seasons as a tight end? I think it's an NFL record at this point. I'm actually one to say that Mark Andrews is better because he will not, like last year, he put up 107 catches with over 1,000 yards and however many touchdowns. But he's also a better blocker. So the fact that he's more well-balanced in the receiving and the blocking game, I actually have to give the edge to Andrews. But even if that weren't the case, Andrews is still a Pro Bowl level tight end. But it's also the guys like the Hayden Hursts and the Nick Boyles. And I will take them above any other number 2 tight end that Mahomes has had. And, that kills me to say that because Noah Gray, shout out to the Blue Devil there. But if we take the tight end rooms overall, even if you still want to put Kelce above Mark Andrews, sorry, a little foreshadowing earlier in the podcast, I still have to say that Lamar Jackson has had the better tight end room. So next up, we have the offensive line. The position that doesn't get any credit when you're doing well, but gets all the blame when you're doing bad. And to be honest, the Chiefs have to win this round as well. Because you go back last season in the PFF rankings, the Chiefs had the 5th best offensive line in all of football versus the Ravens, who had the 21st. Now, in all fairness, a lot of that had to do with injuries, so let's even go the year before. The Chiefs had the 11th rated offensive line compared to the 16th ranked for the Ravens. So even though I think when healthy, both teams have a very equal offensive line, the Chiefs do test better, so I have to give the edge to them. So next up we have the defense. Oh, no, we're not stopping at offense. I said supporting cast. Your supporting cast is your team. So with the defense, it's got to be the Ravens. They've actually won more defensive battles than the Chiefs have during their both quarterbacks' tenures. Not to mention that every year the Ravens have a higher ranked defense than the Chiefs. So this goes without saying. You got to give the defensive edge to the Baltimore Ravens, and to me, it's not even close. Next up, we have special teams, and I know a lot of you are going to laugh about this one, but do you think that either of these teams would win without some contributions from the special teams? I mean, come on, guys. This one, I have to give the edge to the Ravens, and here's why. Both teams have had some pretty solid return men, but I mean, the fact that Justin Tucker is the most accurate kicker in NFL history, I got to give the edge to him. Not to mention, and I mentioned would some of these teams have won certain games without the contributions of the special teams. I remember a certain game last season where Justin Tucker kicked a 67-yard field goal to beat the Lions. I mean, most kickers aren't doing that. So without those contributions, that's another L for the Ravens. And, they finished a game and a half behind the playoff season last year. Maybe they're 2.5 games back. Who knows? But, again, that's an L if that doesn't go in. So that's a contribution. That helped Lamar win a game. So I have to give the edge. So I have to include the special teams, and I have to give the edge to the Ravens on this one for not just the return game, but the awesome kicker that is Justin Tucker. Hook 'em horns. Next up, we have coaching. And I really wanted to just go in here and say that Andy Reid is the better of the two coaches over John Harbaugh. But honestly, it's not that easy to say. John Harbaugh has a Super Bowl win well before Lamar Jackson was even thinking about coming into the league. So it was hard. And the fact that Andy Reid doesn't have a Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes, it's worth noting. But at the same time, I got to give it to Andy Reid. He's been successful everywhere he's gone, and he is a great play caller, which is also very important. I actually do favor his play calling over someone like John Harbaugh, so I have to give coaching and play calling to Mahomes and the Chiefs. And last but certainly not least, we have the front office. And this is one of the most overlooked contributions to a supporting cast that we can possibly have, because this is what constructs the roster and brings in the coaches. And if you don't have a stable front office, you're just set up to fail. And, I don't want to say that the Chiefs have a bad front office, but I think they took a major hit when Chris Ballard left for Indianapolis. But I have absolutely no questions that the Baltimore Ravens have the better front office. Ever since I started watching football, even in the years that the Ravens aren't making the playoffs, they're still competitive. They have 2 Super Bowls with 2 different head coaches, and it almost seems like anytime they go a couple years without making the playoffs, they make a drastic change that gets them back to their winning ways. The Baltimore Ravens organization is very well run, and I have to give them the edge for the final category in this matchup. So if you're counting at home right now, Lamar Jackson wins in a 5-3 edge over Patrick Mahomes. Lamar wins in the running backs, tight ends, defense, special teams, and front office categories, while Mahomes wins in the receivers, offensive line, and the coaching category. So all of this being said, what was the purpose, you ask? A lot of what we do here on the Less is More Sports podcast is we debunk the narrative. And one of the narratives that I'm consistently tired of hearing is how Lamar doesn't have help. And one of the number one things that they always go to is, well, he doesn't have any receivers. Well, comparing it to Patrick Mahomes, somebody who is under contract for $500 million, someone who has won a Super Bowl MVP, and went absolutely God mode, or goes absolutely God mode in the postseason. You compare the overall supporting cast that Lamar has versus Mahomes, receivers are one of the only things Mahomes has that Lamar doesn't. Lamar has 5 other things that Mahomes doesn't. So, to me, Lamar is in a much better situation, not only period, but then your average casual fan seems to think. So I think, I wish, so I make this video just trying to debunk this narrative that Lamar doesn't have the help he does. Another narrative that I'm also hearing that I want to quietly debunk right now is that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be anything without Tyreek Hill. And so far on the season, he's got 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. I'm not good at math. I feel like that ratio is pretty good, though. So all in all, I want to sit here and say that, both Lamar and Patrick Mahomes are very good quarterbacks. They're both off to very good starts on the season. Lamar is absolutely tearing it up, and you know what? I wish him the best of luck because, contrary to popular belief, anyone who watches this podcast, I'm actually not a Lamar hater. I hate you all, the stands, the people that make me do these videos to prove to you all that he has a lot more help than you seem to think. So without further ado, be sure to like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel. Also follow the Twitter and Facebook profiles to keep track of what's going on during the week. Matt and I will be on a podcast here in the near future, but it is a surprise what the topic is going to be. So without further ado, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching the video, and I'm out.